Having achieved his life's ambition, the prophet gloats.
Tabari, people of the Quraysh, Allah has taken from you the haughtiness of the time of ignorance and its veneration of ancestors. For now I have humbled you, made you Muslims, submissive unto me. People of the Quraysh and people of Mecca, what do you think I intend to do with you?
Rub their noses in it, literally. He needed them to grovel at his feet, to bow down and swear allegiance to him. He wanted what he had always craved, to be praised and to be obeyed, to be empowered and to be enriched. Killing more Meccans wouldn't be any fun. He had done enough of that. No, he wanted to see them humiliated.
Tabari and Ishaq, the people assembled in Mecca to swear allegiance to the messenger in submission. They gathered to do homage to the apostle in Islam. Umar remained below the prophet, lower than the place where he sat,
on his elevated throne,
imposing conditions on the people as they paid homage,
or reverence,
to Muhammad, promising to submit and obey. Umar administered the oath, receiving from the Meccans their pledge of allegiance to Muhammad. They promised to heed and obey Allah and His messenger.
And since no one spoke for Allah but Muhammad, there were no orders but Muhammad's, and thus no one to be obeyed but him.
That was the oath administered to those who swore allegiance to the Prophet in submission, or Islam. Tabari, when the messenger was finished with the men's swearing of allegiance, the women swore allegiance.
Having been abandoned by all of the women in his life, Muhammad was particularly harsh on them.
You are swearing allegiance to me, on condition that you will associate nothing with Allah.
And by default, me.
By Allah, you are imposing something on us that you did not impose on the men, one of the women said.
Muhammad paid her no heed, and continued with his list. When he got to,
"Do not kill your children," the woman said, "We raised them and you killed them. You know better about killing them than we do." Umar laughed immoderately at her words.
But the messenger did not think it was funny. The truth hurt. His only response was to call the truth a lie, or at least to sequester the messenger.
He said, "Do not invent slanderous tales henceforth."
For a terrorist, Muhammad was very thin-skinned. The woman's line was one of the great comebacks of all time, and she had earned the right to say it, for Muhammad's goons had murdered her father, her brother, her husband, and her son.
Hind said, "Bringing slander is ugly. Sometimes it's better to just ignore it." He said, "You shall not disobey me in carrying out my orders." The messenger told Umar, "Receive their oath of allegiance and their homage. Now go, for I have accepted your allegiance and praise."
The abused was now an abuser, and the abused abuser craved the one thing he never knew, love. Before we move on with the narrative, I want you to appreciate the dynamics of this situation. Everything was intensely personal. Mecca was an isolated and shabby collection of mud huts. Every Meccan knew every other Meccan, and most were related. It isn't by chance that Muhammad knew the names of everyone he had killed in each of his raids on the Quraysh, or that his militants were killing their fathers and their brothers. This was a family feud, a quarrel over who should inherit Qusay's scam. Islam was a consequence. It happened, as did Mein Kampf, because a child was denied. I took great pains to expose the true nature of Mecca, Qusay's adventure, and the circumstances surrounding Muhammad's birth, so that you might know why the abused boy claimed that he was Allah's messenger. By sharing what the Quran had to say about the pleasures of paradise and the torments of hell, we came to know what pleased and tortured Mohammed, and thus what motivated him. His every word and deed, his Quran and Sunnah, were derivatives of the abuse he suffered. And his rage was magnified when his family failed to rescue him. Islam was one man's quest for revenge. Mohammed was powerless, poor, and unloved. Therefore his Islam was focused on power, money, and sex. It's as simple and sad as that.
Tabari and Ishaq. Allah had enabled Muhammad to take the persons of the Quraysh by force, giving him power over them so that they were his booty. Their lives were now his spoil, but he emancipated them.
No, he enslaved them. That's what an oath of allegiance in submission is all about. But by not selling his possessions, his booty, into slavery, he was perceived as merciful. When a kidnapper stops tormenting victims, they view the reprieve as a form of mercy. In a twisted sort of way, it ultimately causes the molested to see their molestor as loving. This is why Muslims rewrite their history and revere the man who enslaved them. But just humiliating the Meccans was insufficient. The Prophet knew their praise and homage was insincere, so he continued to look for love in all of the wrong places.
Tabari. The
60-year-old
messenger of Allah married Mulaykah. She was young and beautiful. One of the Prophet's wives came to her and said, "Are you not ashamed to marry a man who killed your father during the day he conquered Mecca?" She therefore took refuge from him.
Now that he had conquered his demons, it was time for Mohammed to pay his respects.
Ishaq. When the populace had settled down, Muhammad went to the Kaaba and compassed it 7 times on his camel, touching the black stone with a stick. Then he went inside the temple. There he found a dove made of wood. He broke it in his hands and threw it away.
It's perfect. The first idol Mohammed broke was the international symbol of peace and the symbol of Yahweh's Spirit. So may the truth be known.
Ishaq. The Kaaba contained 360 idols, which Lucifer had strengthened with lead. The apostle was standing by them with his stick in his hand, saying, "The truth has come and falsehood has passed away." Then he pointed at them with his stick, and they collapsed on their backs, one after the other.
The Kaaba was a pagan shrine, and a rotten one at that. It had never been anything more. But on this day, Mohammed helped his dark spirit eliminate the competition. The same stick that had recognized the black stone toppled the other false gods.
Ishaq. The Quraysh had put pictures in the Kaaba, including 2 of Jesus and 1 of Mary, on both of whom be peace. Muhammad ordered that the pictures should be erased.
So then, after stealing the pagan shrine, Ishaq reveals,
Muhammad sat in the mosque, and Ali came to him with the key to the Kaaba, asking him to grant his family the rights associated with custodianship.
But alas, the Shiite didn't measure up. The mighty Mo handed the key to Uthman for safekeeping. Then, stealing a line from the Scriptures, the dim-witted, delusional degenerate proclaimed,
Ishaq. Mecca is the Holy of Holies.
But even Satan knows that's not true, which is why he will desecrate the real Holy of Holies on Mount Moriah in the last days. It's why Islam's first real shrine was built upon the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The blood that flowed from the broken bodies of men and women killed by the Muslims this day had yet to dry when the chief hypocrite said,
Ishaq. It is not lawful for anyone to shed blood in Mecca. It was not lawful to anyone before me, and it will not be lawful after me. If anyone should say, the apostle killed men in Mecca, say, Allah permitted his apostle to do so, but he does not permit you.